Hey guys, welcome back to another tutorial. We're in Unreal Engine 4, and I'm just going to show you step by step how to create the basic framework of a very basic inventory system. So let me first show you what we got. So we have our character, it's the point and click game, and we have it so you can pick up these items. It'll tell us item 1 is added, item 2 is added, item 3 is added, and that this box here is not a collectible item. And then if we hit the tab key, we get all our items back, and they're taken out of our inventory, and then we can pick them back up. And they say item 1, item 2, item 3, all added. We also have it so if you press spacebar, it will return them one by one from the last picked up item to the very first. So we got that working. So we basically need to start from scratch. We're going to create a couple different things. First, let's go ahead and let's first create our actual inventory. So let's go into our content browser. Let's create a new folder. I'm going to call this inventory underscore blueprints. So let's right click, do a blueprint. This one's just going to be an actor. Now let's call this BP underscore inventory. Let's double click on that. Let's add some components to it. First, let's add a billboard just so we can see it. So we got like that raptor thing, and I'm just going to call this inventory icon. And then I'm also going to create a text indicator. So if you just type in text, get a text render, and I'm just going to call this inventory text. And what we're going to do here, we're just going to rotate it, put it above this guy. And the text it's going to read, if we just scroll down, will just be called inventory. Compile, save that. Only reason why we have those is that when we throw it into our scene, we can see it. And it's not going to do much in the scene, it just needs to be placed into the scene so we can actually access it correctly. So now that we got that going, let's go into the actual graph. And we're just going to first set up some basic variables. We're not going to do anything with them just yet, but we're just going to create them. So first, let's go ahead, let's create a Boolean variable. We'll call this B inventory full. That'll be for checking if the inventory is full. Let's create a new variable. It's going to be an integer. We'll call this max inventory size. We can give that a default value of like 5. We're not really going to reference it too much, but we want to have some basic variables set up here. Let's go ahead and create a new variable. It's going to be a name variable. We'll call this item name. Create a new variable. It's going to be a name variable, but we're going to click this box here to make it an array. And we'll call this item name array. And then the last variable here, it's going to be a vector array. We're going to call this item location array. So that's all the variables we can create for this right now. So let's go ahead and create the necessary additional blueprints here. Let's go ahead and we're going to create a new blueprint. And we're just going to make this an actor. Call this BP underscore inventory item. Double click on this bad boy. Now, in the components of this, we're leaving everything alone. Not much for this one. But in the graph, we're actually going to set up, for right now, one particular variable. Here, it's going to be a name variable. Make that public, and we're going to call this inventory item name. Let's capitalize the N. And we make it public because we want to make sure we can edit this in our scene. So there's only one more one more class, blueprint class we're going to have to make here. So let's go back to our content browser. Let's go to our BP inventory item. Let's right click on it, and we're going to do a create blueprint based on this. It's going to basically create a child class and name it BP underscore inventory item underscore child. Now it's this one that we're going to go ahead and create an actual mesh to represent this. So let's go into our starter content. Let's go to shapes. Let's just grab a sphere. Now back into our item child. Let's go ahead and add static mesh. We're going to name this item mesh. And we'll go ahead and we got to make this kind of small just because it's pretty large right now. So let's lock all axes and make it 0.5 so that it's all 0.5 in the same scale. And then in the graph, this is where we're going to basically leave everything alone. Not much to do in this, but we can finally add this into our scene. So instead of adding BP underscore inventory item, we're going to throw in the child into our scene. So let's right click, add BP underscore inventory item. We'll just throw it in. And then in the details of the object, so this item, we can name it item 3. We can name this item 2. And this can be item 1. And just for good measure, let's grab a cube. Just create a duplicate of this, replace with the cube. Now we got a cube. So now we have 3 items that should be able to get picked up by the player, and then we have a 4th item that should not. So let's save that in our scene here. May require that we build lighting. Oops. So let's just build lighting to get that out of the way. Should take a second. And then what we need to do is create an additional array now that we created our blueprint for our item child. So once this is done building light, we'll be able to go forward and done. Okay. Save that again. So now let's go into our BP inventory. And in here, this is where we're going to create basically a list of our objects. So, new variable, keep it as an array. Now we're going to search for item. We'll do item child. And we'll call this inventory item array. Compile and save. So now what we need to do in our actual inventory is create a function that will check if the object that we're touching is an object that should be able to be added to our array, and it'll get the name, it'll do a bunch of things. So let's create a function. We'll name this bad boy add items to inventory. Now we're going to need to create 2 new inputs. First parameter is going to be the item. Oops. And we'll name this guy in item. And the second parameter will be a name. And we'll give it item name. And there is no just overall out that we need to do or anything like that. So we're not going to create any kind of outputs. But what we're going to do now is we're going to take, the first thing we're going to do is set the item name. So let's right click, not right click, let's hold down Alt, left click, drag for a setter. Let's set the item name. So whatever the name is of the object that we're picking up, it'll just be stored into the item name here. And just for good measure, let's go ahead and print that item name. So let's get that variable, convert it to a string. There we go. Compile, so far so good. And what we need to check first and foremost is whether or not the item name array already has the actual name of an object in it already. So we want to check, hey, does it already have an object that's named this in this array already? If so, say we can't pick it up. If it doesn't, then we can pick it up. So let's left click, drag, and hold down Control, left click, drag that to get the item name array. We're going to do a contains item. And what item is going to be the item name. And of course, it's going to give us a true or false option here. So let's branch that out. Plug that in from branch string. So if it's true that this item array already contains that item name, we'll just have it say print. We'll say it's a inventory. We'll do that in all caps. So if that object's already in there, it's going to say, hey, it's already in the inventory. If it's not, that's where we're going to add that item name. So let's grab these two variables, drag out from the array option, and I'll have to add. We're going to add that item name. Throw that into false. And what we need to do now is add that item itself, because we have this item node here for the child reference. Let's pull that out just a tiny bit. Let's drag it out. Let's do an add reroute node just to make it neat looking. And then keep it there. Drag it out again. Add another reroute just so we can add a simple line here. And now we need to cast. Actually, I messed up. Let's go back into this function here. Instead of this being child, we're going to do inventory item itself, not the child. But now it's here that we cast this to BP inventory item. So let's do a cast. It's not going to let me cast, is it? Not too sure why it's not going to let me cast this yet. Actually, for right now, let's leave this alone. What we're going to do instead is we'll go into our player character. So let's go to content browser, point and click, blueprints. Let's grab our character. What we're going to do in here is we're going to do in a begin overlap event. And what we need to create now is a new macro function. So let's create the new macro. We're going to call this check objects, or check object is in inventory. Actually, no, this is what we need to name it. I'm sorry. Check object is inventory item. So this is going to check to see if the item we basically collide with, we're going to see if it is a legitimate item that we can use and pick up, I should say. So with that, let's click on the input. We're going to need to create a new execution. Just going to call this in. We're also going to need to create a new item. So let's type in item here, BP underscore inventory item. Or we should maybe try actor. We'll make it an actor instead, and we'll type this as item check. And then for the output, we're just going to need a new executive, or execution, I should say. And we'll just call this out. Let's drag the output one far, far away, just because we'll need to put a lot of stuff in here first. Let's hit compile, and what we're going to need to do is drag this out. We'll get the class. In the return class, we're going to see if this is equal to our inventory item. And then branch this out. So let's just make this neat. in. So if it's true, if it is of that object, what we're going to do is, let's grab this guy, add reroute node, throw that out, reroute node, just so we can pull it as far as we want. And now we should be able to cast this bad boy to inventory item. So again, if this is true, we're going to cast that. If it's false, we're going to print it as not being a collectible item. So we're going to type in not a collectible item. We're also going to do that if the casting fails. But what we need to do now, we need to basically, we have to make a reference here to our inventory, just so we can make a reference to it. So let's go back to our main event graph here. Let's get rid of some of these just because they're from the last tutorial. Let's go into our main event graph. We're going to do on an event begin play. We're going to get all actors of class, and it's just going to be our inventory. So let's type in BP underscore inventory. Drag this out, get, as in our array, get the array position here. And we're going to cast this to our BP underscore inventory. Now, if the cast fails, we'll do print and do failure. But if it succeeds, we'll create a new variable. We'll call it this inventory reference. Whoops, spelled reference wrong. There you go. Compile. And if we play real quick, we see we don't get the word failure. So we know that the casting is successful. And the reason why is because this is in our scene already. So if we delete that and then go in, we'll see failure right there. So that's the reason why we dragged in the inventory in the first place. So let's throw that back in. Save it, play one more time, and we see failure is not showing up in the corner, so we did that correctly. So we got our inventory reference now. So let's go back into our macro. And now we need to basically cast this one more time. Promote to variable, and we'll call this inventory item reference. So now we have a reference to the items, and we have a reference to the inventory itself. Oops, actually I don't think we needed to even do that. True, my bad. Take that one inventory item reference out, we don't need it. What we do need though is the inventory reference. And we're going to call add items to inventory. Throw that in. And what we need to do now, from here, we need to get the inventory name. And we'll throw that into here. And we'll also just throw this guy into the in item. And if necessary, output, we'll throw this out there. So compile that. Now that we created the macro successfully, let's on the event actor begin overlap, that's our character overlap. Let's do check object is an inventory item, and we'll throw that in. So that's very simple. But now we need to go back into our inventory, and we basically need to now see if we can cast this correctly. Oops, don't want to comment. So it's not letting us cast this correctly. Let me delete this. Okay, now we can cast it. Okay, cool. We just need to basically compile. So let's add those reroute nodes real quick, just for organization. Now let's cast to BP inventory item child. The reason why it's coming up now is because the in item is of class inventory item that we just made in our character class. The check object item right here, this item check, the actor of it gets casted to inventory item, and then the inventory item gets thrown into the in item, which is then this in item right here. So let's connect the add into the cast. And then what we need to do now, let's grab our inventory item array. Control left click drag that out. Let's add that into this array. So in the array what we're adding is this casted item right here. So boom, add it in. And then we'll throw this add connecting into that. And then we're going to print string here, just so it says item added. And then what we need to do here is we're going to get the location of the object when they get touched. So if it is a legitimate item we can pick up. Once it's casted here, let's create a reroute node. Let's type in get actor location, and let's uncheck context sensitivity. Let's grab actor location right here. And then we're going to grab our item location array, control left click drag that out. Create add to it for add array. Throw this pin into that, and then with the actor's location we're going to add. And then the last thing we need to do, let's reroute this right now, is the last thing we need to do is destroy the actor, just so it goes away. And that's it for adding the items into our inventory system. So let's compile, let's save everything, and just for testing purposes, we'll get item 1. Let's just copy it down here, just so there's 2 of them, so we'll see if we're able to pick it up if it's already added in. So let's play. So there's our circle. Let's grab that. So right now, it's not disappearing. So that's a problem. So it probably has to be with our, well, actually, yeah, first let's go into our inventory item child. We have to change its collision here. So we're going to do overlap all. Actually, let's do custom. We want it to ignore the camera, and we want it to overlap everything else. And then for this square here, let's just go into its properties right now. We'll do custom, ignore camera, and then overlap everything else. So let's save, let's try this again. So it's telling me this is not a collectible item. Okay, so far it's saying everything's not a collectible item. So we're missing something. So let's go into, we need to go into our character. So let's make this item child. Let's do BP underscore item. Whoops. So let's change that to child. Let's see if it works now. So got it. Item 1 added. And now this one's in the inventory because that one's named item 1, 2. But now we go to item 3. Item 2. It disappears. Item 3 disappears. And then with this one, it doesn't tell us if it's a collectible item or not. So let's see why. I might have done something wrong. No. Should tell us. Oh well. We don't have to really worry about that for right now, even though it should tell us that it's not an inventory item or not a collectible item. But it's not. Let's see if we can figure this out. Let's move this back a little bit. Let's try it again. Okay, still not telling us it's an inventory item. So let's figure it out. Let's try to. Let's make this an object. Let's see if this fixes it. So I'm changing it instead of actor, I'll change it to object. No, still not doing anything. I think I may know what the problem is, potentially. Let's try this. Let's go back into our character. Instead of object, we'll change it back to actor. But then in our content browser, let's go to shapes. Let's go to the cube. That's tube, not cube. Oops. We need to plug that back up. Let's uncheck that. Let's go back. Let's find cube, cube, cube. So it does look like it has collision on it. So I'm not 100% sure why it's not telling us. Change that to world dynamic. Oh, here it is. I'm so dumb. Alright, generate overlap events. Let's check that. And then let's see if it works now. So, not a collectible item. Bam, bam, bam. We did it. Okay, cool. But now it's telling us all these are not collectible items. If it's not one thing, it's another. So, let's do inventory item. Just one more time. So I'm saying it's not a collectible item, not a collectible item. Let's try item child. Let's try that. Okay. I broke it. How did I break it, I wonder? Plug that. Let's just plug this back in. Let's try this again. What did I do? So these are all inventory items. I hate when things just randomly break. Let's try. Okay, hold on. I am dumb. Here it is. Here's the problem. We gotta plug that back up. I'm so dumb. Let's try it now. Boom. Okay. And then item 1's already in there. Item 2. Inventory. Okay. Now we got the actual picking up of them working. Sorry about that. Silly things can happen. But now that we got that going, what we need to have set up now is the ability for the player, just as a testing thing. It's not fully what I want to have to happen in the end, but it's a good kind of proof that we can do it. So let's go ahead and what we're going to need to do, we're going to create the ability for the player to be able to return the objects back into the world, take them out of the inventory. So we're going to do that in two different ways. We're going to do that where the player can just empty out the inventory, just throw everything out again, or we can do it one by one. So let's first do it by all together. The button thing we're going to use here is tab, so the tab key, and make sure you're doing this in the player character blueprint. And let's grab our inventory reference. We're gonna first do the item location array here, so let's get the item location array. And what we're going to do here is a for each So a normal for each loop. So when it's pressed, we're going to execute that. For each item in the array, what we're going to do is grab the array element, which is going to be the location. Let's do a make transform. Put that into the location, which should be by default. And what we're going to do here is spawn actor from class. The actor is going to be, it's either going to be item, it's going to be item child. So let's grab item child, and then the spawn transform is going to be the return value of this. And then what we're going to do now that we have it spawning these objects is we need to return the name of the object too. Because if you don't do this, it's going to have an inventory name of none, which we don't want. We want to have it return to its old name, so either item 1, item 2, item 3, whatever you name it. So what we're going to need to do, let's grab this return value. Let's set inventory name. And then we're going to need to grab an inventory reference here. Let's grab the item name array. We're going to copy and paste this section twice. On this top one, we're going to do remove. So remove item. And this is going to get plugged up to the set. And the actual inventory item here, we're going to grab this, do get. So get at 0 and throw that in. And then this is also, this get is going to be going into the inventory name. So what's going to happen is for each item location that we have stored, we're going to spawn a new item, so inventory item child. And then for the first one, it's going to get the object 0 item name and assign that name to the newest spawn object. Once that happens, it's going to remove that name from the actual list, so that the next name is going to be at 0, since the positions will move. I'm not too sure if I'm explaining that correctly or clearly, but it should make more sense here in just a bit. The last thing we're going to do for the tab is in the completed option. Let's go ahead and create a new reroute just so we can make this a little neater. And what we're going to do is basically clear our arrays once all these are spawned out. So first let's start out with the inventory reference, and we're just going to do the item list first. So let's do item, and so we're going to get item inventory item array, drag this out, we'll do clear, plug that up. So that's the first one. Now we're going to do the name, so item name array, clear that. And the last one is going to be the item location array. We're going to clear that. Boom. And that's all coming from the completed of the for each loop. So let's see if this works. Compile that, save it, let's play. So let's just grab those three. Let's hit tab, and they're spawned back. So let's see if they have their names. So this one's item number 1, this one's item 2, and this one's item 3. So that's working. So one thing I want to let you know that's broken is if you're in the position of this object, so let me grab this, and let me just stand where it's spawned relatively. If I hit tab, it's going to give it an inventory name of none because I'm standing over it. Not too sure about what the workaround will be, but let you know that's something that is currently happening, so be wary of that. So now we have the player the ability to basically remove all their items from their item array altogether. So let's do it where we can have it done one by one. So we'll use a different keyboard function. We'll do spacebar. And we'll test to see if this works. So we'll do a hello string. press spacebar and we see hello, so that's good. We know that's working. And what we need to do is grab our inventory reference, and we're going to do item location array. We're going to get that, and we're going to copy and paste this together. And what we need to do, we're going to do last index, and then we're going to get from this one, and we're going to plug the integer for the last into this integer for the get. So we're going to get the last location of our array. So we're going to do one by one. And then from here we're going to make a transform for the location. And then from the spacebar, so let's drag this in here. We're going to do, like we did earlier, spawn actor from class. And the class is going to be child, so inventory item child. The spawn transform is going to be the return value here. And what we need to do now is remove that location from our inventory. So we're going to grab this again. Actually, we need all three of these here. Let's grab that. And then we're going to drag this one out. We're going to do remove. Actually, I'm sorry. We're going to grab it from the array. Remove item. Plug that up. And the item we're going to remove is this result. And then we're going to do something very similar, but with now the name of the item. So let's grab the inventory reference. Let's get the item name array. Copy and paste that out. We're going to do this 3 times. This top one is going to be a remove. So remove item. Plug that up. Let's move things around just a tiny bit. Whoops. So right now we're removing an item from the array, but which one are we going to remove? It's going to be the last one. So from this array, the bottom one, the third one, we'll do last index. And then from this middle one, we'll do get. Plug that last into the get. And actually, let's disconnect these guys. We need to first set the inventory name. So let's grab the return value of this. Let's create a reroute just for neatness. And then we're going to do set inventory name. Throw that in. And then from the set, that's when we're going to remove. And it's actually from this get right here that we're going to put into the remove. And then we're also going to put into this name. So let's get that plugged up. And then last but not least, we need to do this one more time, but with the actual item. So inventory item reference. Let's get the item list array. Do this twice. Actually 3 times. From this middle one, we're going to get. From this bottom one, we're going to get the last index. Throw that in. And from this top one, we'll do remove item. And then from this get, we'll throw that in. Just move this appropriately. Remove. Okay. And that's really it. This is how we can have it remove items one by one. So let's grab them. Let's see if this works. 1, 2, 3. Let's hit spacebar. So 3, 2, and 1. Let's see if they get their names back. Yep, item 3. Let's grab item 1. And it's going to give us 1 and then 3 back. So it's basically in the opposite order. So I got 3 last, so it's going to be 3, 2, 1. And then if we pick it up, you can do tab and it returns them all. Spacebar again. And that's it. If you want to do it the opposite way, what you can do, instead of it being the last index, you can just get the 0. So if you just unplug each one of these, I'm sorry, I was not in the right blueprint. Let me correct that. I'm so sorry. Okay. So let's go back into our player. So what I was saying here, instead of just unchecking the get last from the gets here. So now it will do the opposite. So we'll do 1, 2, 3, and then it's going to be 1, 2, 3. So whichever order that you want to do. I prefer getting the last object, so I'm just going to hook that back up. And that's it. So that's the end of this tutorial. So what we did is we created an inventory system, and we can grab objects, have their names. We can tell when an object's not a collectible item, and we can also tell when an item's already in our inventory. And then we can return these items one by one and grab them again, or we can return them all at the same time. So that's it for this tutorial, guys. I hope you did learn a lot. It was a very interesting thing to learn from my end here from scratch. I'm going to keep building off of this inventory system because I will be using this system for my game that I'm working on, the point-and-click game. So more features are going to be added. I'm going to try to do drag and drop features, things like that. So I'll keep working on that. Once I start getting headway on that, that's when I'll start creating tutorials and example videos for those. But again, this is it for this video. If you haven't subscribed yet, definitely subscribe. Like the video if you liked it. Share it as well. Check out more videos. Leave comments. Let me know what's going on for you guys. And again, thanks for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye.